What's going on, everyone? Welcome to the OMG My Money Podcast, where we talk personal finance, side hustling, and sports cards. Welcome to the first episode. You can find the show notes at omgmymoney.com/1. And also, you can check the episode notes where you'll find additional information from the episode and also how to connect with me. For this first episode, I'm going to keep this one light, and I'll just set some expectations on what you might get from this podcast. Let's start with what I plan to cover and what I don't plan to cover. What I plan to cover are my passions in personal finance, side hustling, and sports cards. I think in these areas, I'm going to look at the intersections of all three because that's what I'm starting to get more interested in, especially as I write articles on my blog and as I get more engaged with the sports cards community. But I might go off tangent a little bit and start covering my other passions in leadership, business management, real estate, and marketing. Now, I know that's a ton of different topics, but basically, I'm going to be open to the types of topics that I cover, and hopefully it'll be relevant to all of you, the audience and the community. What I don't plan to cover are any sports cards new releases or review of any products, but I am open to covering any relevant news in the sports cards hobby. I think the new releases and reviews of products are already well covered by other sports cards podcasts. I do have a sports card podcast recommendation up on my site if you want to check it out, but there are, easily a dozen or so podcasts that are already doing a really good job of covering those topics. So I'm going to leave it up to those podcasters, those breakers, those passionate hobbyists to cover those topics. Now let's talk about the formatting a little bit. To start off, it'll be solo episodes. And then as I get more comfortable with podcasting, editing, recording, brushing up on my interviewing skills, I am open to interviewing both subject matter experts, whether that's in personal finance, side hustling, whatever other topic that I want to cover. But I also want to bring on everyday people who are passionate and love the sports cards industry and trying to make a name for themselves. Now, that could be someone who is really well known in the social media space. It could be a young hustler that I come across at various card shows who I know is, flipping to continue to build up his or her collection. It could be a card shop owner. But basically, I'm hoping that through the community's input, I can bring on guests that will make this podcast more engaging and more interesting for all of you. So why podcasting? Podcasting is something I always wanted to try. It's something that I was planning for the past year. I was reading blog articles. I was watching YouTube videos. And basically a year passed, which is great. Nice waste of time there. And I decided to finally just start doing things. There's only so much you could learn, read, take in, hear from other people. But there's going to be a point in time where you just have to stop waiting for perfect to happen and just start taking action. So that's exactly what I did. So the first action I took was I needed to feel invested in this podcasting project. The way that I felt invested was not the numerous amount of hours that I was reading articles and watching videos. It was really monetary. So I purchased a microphone that actually was really cheap. It was less than $100, came highly recommended by other podcasters. And this was that nudge I needed to feel invested. I'm really looking forward to how this journey will end up being. I have no expectations. I don't know what to expect. Just like my blog that connected me with so many people that I never thought I'd ever be in touch with. I'm hoping podcasting will bring another way to connect with more people. Now, it could be in all the areas that I'm really passionate about, right? Starting off with personal finance, side hustling, and sports cards. But I'm hoping this podcast will help bring a community together or build a community together so that we could all share with one another, learn from one another, educate, and hopefully bring some inspiration to you all. In the next couple episodes, you'll learn more about my personal background, my personal finance failures, and how I started to gain a passion for personal finance in general. I'll have a separate episode that covers the sports cards piece of this podcast. So I'll cover how I got started in sports cards, my background in it, and what I'm doing now to stay involved in this industry. Before I wrap up this first episode, I have a couple asks. The first is I need a slogan, so please do send me suggestions. Could be as ridiculous or inspiring as you want it to be, and I'll read some of my favorites in the upcoming episodes. Lastly, if you don't mind, please rate, review, and subscribe to this podcast. More importantly, if you ever have any questions, please reach out to me, whether it's through my blog or on the various social platforms. I will always respond. This show is about you, and I'd love to see this community grow. Really appreciate you tuning in, and we'll talk soon. See ya.